Let's play a little game. We're gonna have a look at how many times the pullbacks would have worked in theory if we would have taken the trade. This is inspired by Joerg. Joerg made a picture and he was tracking the pullback from the past days, and I was like, right, that's a great exercise. I'm gonna do that as well. However, there's a small addition. I'm gonna use the 5-tick. Can I draw, please? This is buggy. There you go. And I'm gonna use the 5-tick to see if the actual rotations add in our favor as well, and see if it works out. So this is the 10-tick. I'm just gonna scroll back a bit to an area I haven't been before, and let's see if we can identify some pullbacks. All right. So this is a nice start here. So let's have a look. Let's take the impulse at the bottom here. So let's say this is the impulse. And we have a prior top. And the prior top would continue over here. So does it pull back fully? No, it doesn't. But should we consider this a pullback? We probably should. Also because this went down and then up. This became an area of interest. So we have this rejection candle, which is what we want to see. So the first thing that we, this prior top, it doesn't line up with the actual pullback at the first time. So that's one of the things that might make it a bit more difficult at first. Also, this is the start of the impulse, so this will be a great area for a pullback as well. So let's see, this is 10:30 on the 20th. Let's see, 10:30 on the 20th. Does this line up somehow? It should. 10:30 on the 20th. Why does it scroll all the way out of here? Right, it's more like 11:10 though, which is where the pullback is. So do we have? I should be able to draw here. Put something. Small ellipse. Okay, so we're gonna have a look at this pullback here. So this should, right, okay, so that's the area. That's what we want to see. There we go. No, pointer. Holy crap. Get rid of it. My pencil is not drawing on this graph, you see that? I need to, it's weird though. Okay, so this rotation, we got a 10-tick rejection. So that must be about this one. Then the rotations start to go down, but this area held the first time, right? And kind of lines up with this mini pullback here. Went up, then it became a level of interest, then it went up. So after it did the move up here, you could place your order over here, go long, or maybe more in the middle of it, and then it can shoot up. So I think this would have been a successful pullback if we trusted the rotations. Although, yeah, if you enter too high, you got a problem here. So you have to respect the level that it held. Then it would have worked out. All right, let's continue. The next pullback will be, we have a prior top here. Nothing happened there. I'm looking at the market as if I don't know the future of this price action, right? So this will be a small top maybe. Right, so here's the start of the new impulse, or you could say over here. Then I'm curious, will the price ever go back to that area? Well, not in the same day at least. So you could have been waiting for a pullback forever. This is slowly grinding to the downside. Could this pullback be predicted though? Kinda. This is like a volume area. The impulse broke the prior high, so this became a level of interest. And then we got this rejection candle. So let's draw an ellipse down. Let's see if we could have identified this. No. Now we have to find it on 21st, early in the morning. There you go. Right, so the level broke, it's what we see here. This area. And then it became support, right? So this is the move up. And then we have to wait for it to come down. And we can place our order halfway of the consolidation area. So that would have been around here-ish. So that's kind of tight. So the rotations come down, then we have a rejection, which is this one building. So this is the rejection candle completed. And then you put your order halfway there. That's the theory, right? And that would have worked perfectly fine. Although rotations are going slightly to the downside. Yeah, you really have to let the market come down a bit before it goes. But not all the way at the bottom. It already went up. It shut up. And then it goes to the so. As soon as you see this, we can use the prior high that it broke out of this small consolidation. This is more like the range, right? So it broke out, and then you can enter your order halfway there. So that's interesting. So that would have worked, right? Well, we know it would have worked because we have the tenting, right? Which makes it predictable. So let's have a look at this one. This is not really a pullback to anywhere recently. So, right, we don't really know in this case. So then you could say this is the start of the impulse, but it's kind of a weak impulse, right? Prior tops. Right, let's look to a short maybe, if that's maybe an interesting approach. Right, we can. This is a clear impulse to the downside. This one, of course, as well, but you really have to. This is not easy to make something work in this case. This one is clearer. Start of the impulse, which becomes a level of interest because of that. And then we have the red rejection candle. So then you might be interested in looking for a short. So let's see. It looks kind of difficult in this case, I guess. Small ellipse. Go back to pointer, then let's see if we can find them over here. That's around 11-ish. So this is, in this case, the rejection candle to the downside. And then I think you would have been stopped out. Well, this is the start of the impulse on the 5 tick. So you could respect that, right? That's maybe not a bad idea. It's a small impulse, and the top of that level might be a level of interest. But this one is not that easy though, because you kind of feel like this is your target to go, right? It rejected, it pulled back, and then you're in the trade, and then it goes against you immediately. So respecting this small impulse would have worked out. But yeah, this is, you can see it's a little bit more difficult because it kind of touched the top of the impulse, but it rotated back up. So yeah, I think you would have been stopped out, or probably could have disqualified correctly on the footprint. That might have helped. All right, let's continue. Pom, pom, pom. So this is a nice impulse. Then we get a rejection candle, and then it's a trade over here. I think this one would have worked out as well. There are kind of a lot of pullbacks, right? This is clearly to the short side, but no, that's not what I want. I want you as a pointer. And let me go left. So we get the rejection here. This is probably the rejection candle completed. To the downside, we have the start of this impulse, so that's great. Then we need to wait for a qualifier. So it rejected over here, and it came back up, right? So this would have been. This is annoying. This might have stopped you out if you really waited for the input. But this is still rotating, so not that powerful. It's not really a clear. This is a clear move to the downside, and then you can enter halfway after we broke out of the consolidation. That's maybe that's how George liked to do it. I was told that Vicky likes to enter more at the top of the rotations in this case. And then, even though you were in, you would have had a couple of ticks, right? So let's say you got in over here, that's 64.50 to 61. So that's 3 points. That's this, at least your first target would have been hit. So this is not a bad trade. It goes back, and this would have stopped you out probably. But not before it went in your favor first. So this would re-qualify the trade, right? Over here. You get the rejection candle again. Over here, that's this one. And then you enter halfway. Or you wait after it bursts out. Probably this is a clean burst on the footprint. And then you let it pull back into your consolidation halfway, and then you enter. So this could be a nice entry to the downside. So waiting for this burst into your favor and then waiting for it to come back, that's seems really nice probability. But also when there are offers at the top, this makes it easier, right, to take a decision over here. But yeah, we don't have that information right now. All right, let's see. So this is a new impulse. So you could say the start of this, but it isn't. So I think because the area held, you probably have a level here right now. Then you kind of wait for it to form a rejection candle, which it did, and then you would have been stopped out. So this is interesting how that works. Let's have a look at you. Pretty bit back. I think it's this one, right? Yep. Okay. So it rejected. It rejected to the top. At the same level you probably already have here, but it already did, right? It already did before. So this is not an easy one because it rejected it to the downside in your favor and then went up. So this is probably the first rejection candle, if I'm not mistaken. Or somewhere, I think this one completely, this consolidation, then it closes, and they're like, yeah, I enter halfway to the downside. And then it has that wick to the upside, right? Although this level is not, it's not a bad level, I think. Not at all. If you take the top for a straight line. No, it's just a wick to the upside. So yeah. Alright. So spotting pullbacks is one thing, right? But your entry is your second part that's not making it easy. Right, so you don't have a level, you get rejection. Right, this one is also not easy, but you still have a level here. Let's use a straighter arrow. Right, this is not bad. You just have that wick. Right, so it's not as textbook clear as you really like to see, huh? Okay, start of the impulse. So this is your level of interest, which is all the way over here, and that's not holding. So again, start of the impulse, break of a lower previous low. So does it hold? No, it doesn't. It pulls back into this volume here. So this is probably on the footprint. You will see a higher volume here, and then you have a rejection candle. But still, this is not really, it's not textbook clear, right? There's always the qualification that you need in the moment itself before you can make it work. Okay, so this impulse, so it goes back to that, but the rejection candle is really laid. But you can also say, okay, this is my rejection candle, because it's close to that area, right? Or do you wait? You probably wait, and then you get the rejection candle. But still, if you respect this rejection candle, it's not going to be easy. Pointer and a small ellipse. I want to see what this looks like on the 5-tick. Probably somewhere over here. Right, so we have that peak over here. So I guess this is the rejection. Right, so this is the rejection candle, I think, something like this. So that forms, then it bursts out, and you could entry here for a short, right? After it bursts out. So you get a fill, and then let's see how many points that is. Let's say you get a fill over here. Can you please? Yes, thank you. Let's get a fill. This is 58, and then it moves to 55. So this would have hit your initial profit target. So this, I guess it would have been a nice small trade, but not really a runner. Okay, so you get out of the trade with a small win. When you still have your runner on, then you get a nice move to the downside, and then it pulls back to the initial impulse. Right, that's what you see is here as well, but on a 10-tick it's a little bit more crowded. Then you get the move down, and then you're like, okay, I want to enter in the volume. You see these rotations, but they move up. This is what you ignore then, because they move up. And then you see the rotations going horizontal, and then it might be more of an interesting move because of this prior volume here. So you see it's holding, it's not going up anymore. And this might have been an interesting level to get in. Or after it does this level, you say, okay, I'm gonna enter these volume nodes if they are there. Or, for example, some sell imbalances showing up. Then you get a fill here, and then you can ride it to the downside for a little part. And if you are still in the trade from here, you would probably have been stopped out. At least I would drill it pretty close. And then this is 47. 20 minutes later, you got a rejection candle again. Pretty sure that's what it shows. I guess that's this one. And then you can spot this. These rotations look really appealing though, to the downside. That's really nice. So you could wait for, let's say you waited for this burst and then enter halfway or out of this consolidation area. So you would enter somewhere here. You might have been stopped out. So also this is not really a textbook clear one. And then it goes, it rides to the downside. If you wait for the rotations here, you could ride it. If you wait for the burst down, and then you see this candle, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna enter here. You're missing the trade. Okay, so start of the impulse. I think it made a new low, right? I'm pretty sure it did. It made a new low here for a while. So then this became a level of interest for a new short. And the prior low has been broken here. So do we get a rejection candle? We do get a rejection candle. That's probably this area. So it successfully rejects. And also after the impulse you can enter, but if you immediately trust the impulse here, you enter here, you get stopped out. So footprint becomes important here. Although, let's say this was the short-term impulse, and if you miss it, you could wait for that level to get visited again and then go for the short. So the entry, and I'm gonna round up the video now, the entry of this area is the difficult part, right? Spotting pullbacks on a Atlantic is not that difficult. It's what you do with it, right? In the moment itself, which is what makes it difficult. For example, there are multiple theories, right? You go down, you see this impulse on the footprint. I'm not sure. Yeah, this is probably one candle on the footprint, and then you're like, oh wow, it already went. Let me enter here. And then you get stopped out, pretty sure. So then you would say, well, I should have waited for the prior impulse, the mini impulse, and then let it pull back to that. But yeah, again, it's not textbook perfect, because if you waited for this impulse to come back to you, yeah, it's below the consolidation though. That might be an interesting key takeaway here. So there's probably on the footprint you would see volume here, and that would maybe qualify a trade to the short side. Alright, I can do this for hours though. That's really interesting. Here as well, right? There is like this pullback to the downside, and then you have an area of consolidation here, and it pulls back into this volume, and then you need to start to qualify. Rejection candle. Yes, give me an ellipse, please. Nope. Yep. So you get the rejection candle, which is this one, which makes it this one, and then you're like halfway rejection candle. I take a short, so this would be. It's like which theory you trust, right? In the moment itself. And then you would have had an entry somewhere around here-ish, I guess, which is 66.75 and then 64.25. Okay, so that would have worked for a small take profit 10 ticks. Alright, so yeah, one of the takeaways for me at least on this video is that pullbacks are on paper easy to spot, but it's the 5 tick what makes it difficult, right? That's really the difficult part. Alright, so let's keep it at this. The trick is to do this in real time, of course. You can have a look how the market looks now in real time. Let me move this out of the way. Let's see how it differs. Let's use this one. Move you out of the way. There you go. So let's see what we have right now. So this is the, let's start with the 10 tick, of course. Start of the impulse. We go back to the area. We have the volume profile here, so this is kind of lower edge from it. Do we get a rejection candle to the upside? We do. So this is this candle. And then you would say, okay, let's enter over here. However, we have a level right above us and a VWAP, so that's probably a disqualifier in this case. So then it pulls back further down. I don't know if these bits were here already. If they were, it will be a great qualifier. You get a rejection candle again, which is this one, I guess, over here. And then I think it closes over here. Yep, against the white line. And then you would say, okay, this is my entry in the middle of the consolidation, just outside of the breakout area. And that will be, so that's 450. Let's see. So this is your consolidation area here. It breaks out of it. You have a volume node and a buy imbalance, which is a small one though. And then you could say, okay, I can enter somewhere around, that's not a small line. You can enter somewhere over here, even especially when these volume nodes start to form, right? And I think these bits would have been here already. So that makes it more appealing to take the long here. But it broke out, it comes back, and then you can enter in the volume node here, and then let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is your tick stop. Maybe respect this volume node at the top. But this is right, you have this buy imbalance here, right? So that kind of helps. So that's good. Right, so this is how we qualify trade. We need bids and offers, of course, as well in the heat map in the heat of the moment. But for now, pull back to the area, start of the impulse, wait for the rejection candle, or in this case, this one. And then you could say enter halfway, but you could also wait for the initial consolidation breakout. Or enter at the bottom if the bids support you. And then probably respect these volume nodes to enter after it broke out. But yeah, it's not easy. This is also against the previous day close, which might not be the best idea. So there are lots of things to consider, right? But yeah, eventually it does break out to the top here. But okay, it's easy to qualify afterwards. The trick is to do it real time, for example right now. And I would say this is still an interesting long opportunity as soon as it breaks out over here. This line is from yesterday, and your next best trade will be to wait for it to break out here, and then maybe go for a long. However, Yeah, you also have the R1 here, which has been respected twice now this day. Alright, let's run up. Thank you for watching. I hope you get something useful out of this.